Hey y'all, it's InfiniteEnso from Knox Knife Mods, and tonight we are getting into my top 5 carries of 2022. Now I didn't buy all these knives in 2022, some of them are older than that, but for one reason or another, these all had some significance for me this year. Some of them again are bought this year, some are not. However, as you can see on the board, we've already got one out here, but before we dive into that, I wanted to just say it's been an awesome year on the channel. We've had some new subs come in, so thank you guys for that. Also, those of y'all who have been around for the last couple of years, thank you so much. And furthermore, I wanted to give a shout out to Wolfman Walsh. This year, he went from being a channel regular to a full-time part of the channel, and I'm so grateful to him for that because he's really helped me out with editing and ideas. That dude comes up with some awesome ideas, and he's also made it possible for us to do weekly videos, which I never thought I'd be able to do. I'm sure those of y'all who've been around for a minute can recall my schedule of basically like 4 videos a year. So let's give him some love in the comments. He's really kind of changed the direction of the channel, and I very much appreciate that. But yeah, let's dive into it, guys. So as you can see, we have a knife here on the table. This is the Ontario Knife Company Carter Prime. Of course, this one has been modded, as we can see here. We've got orange peel titanium scales, a rock carved titanium pocket clip, rock carved flats on the acid and stonewash D2 blade. It's very much a striking visual kind of piece. Good lord, like I'm talking about art.
Ongo Goblogian, the art collector. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Now I should say, this is not in my top 5, this is my honorable mention. Walsh did an honorable mention, so I felt like I should too. Speaking of which, let me put this down for a minute. Last week, Walsh did his top 5 carries of 2022, and I'll pop that up here in a link, so please go watch it. It's very good, and he has some great stuff that he picked up this year. And I completely agree with his #1 choice. So go check that video out and let me know what you think about it. But back to the knife. So as you can see, this is a heavily modded piece. The name of this mod was the Hard Edge mod. This knife got a ton of carry for me this year. It just didn't quite get as much as my top 5, but I still felt like I needed to shout it out because I really love this knife. So the Hard Edge name was inspired by a weapon from the Final Fantasy series of games, specifically Final Fantasy VII. So if you know it, let me know. But yeah, I just think visually it doesn't resemble the weapon at all, but just the attitude, I think, is really kind of what reminded me of it. It's very much a tough, aggressive looking knife, and I just think the mods that I did to it really suit that name. So that is the Ontario Carter Prime Hard Edge mod. This is an excellent knife for the money, y'all. If y'all can still get these, full titanium knife for less than $100, I mean, and it's a frame lock, it's awesome. So moving on. Number five is, believe it or not, it's a traditional. This is the GEC Pioneer Trapper. I believe it's number 23 in the GEC code, or whatever you want to call it. This year I really haven't been much of a GEC fan. I'm not super happy with the way that they handle things. They have improved a little bit on their drops. Now they let us know, you know, what time, at least retailers let us know what time to expect a drop. So it's a little bit easier to get in there, but I still don't like their model of like falsely limited supply. I think it's kind of silly. It's a knife, for God's sake. Let's just make it available. But as you can see, this one has a ton of patina. It gets a lot of use, and it's got micarta scales, micarta covers, beautiful shield right here. I'm not sure if you would call that a federal shield or what, but let me know if y'all know. And a really, really awesome main blade here. The reason I picked this up was that it is based off of a Tony Bow's bullnose pattern. It's shot for shot a Tony Bow's bullnose pattern. Not sure what the reasoning for calling it a Pioneer Trapper is, but you know, maybe y'all know. I'm not a traditional expert, just an admirer. As you can see though, the walk and talk on this thing is absurd, in all honesty, and the pull is like a 9 out of 10. You get used to it, but it is tough. This is the spay blade, as we can see here. Really love the way the clip is handled on this spay. Very short, quick clip there on the end. Just a beautiful knife all around. I love these ridged micarta handles. I just think they're really excellent. So that was number 5, the GEC Pioneer Trapper. Up next, number 4 was a big one this year, the WE Snex Vision R. This was a grail of mine from the moment that I saw Snex unveil the custom version on Instagram, and I was just praying, please make a version with WE, please. I have to have it. And lo and behold, he did. And we slammed this thing out of the park. My only what's the word I'm looking for? My only problem with this knife is this pocket clip. My God, this pocket clip sucks. And you can't remove it because it is integral to the lock back here. If you don't have this clip in place, the lock will not have the right amount of tension upon it to allow the blade to drop freely. It will actually stick when it's in the open deployed position, and you won't be able to undo it. So it needs that clip back there. I can't explain why exactly, but that clip needs to be there. So honestly, I don't clip it to my pocket. I literally just put the whole thing in my pocket and carry it like that. Anyway though, great knife. I prefer actually this lock to the Shark lock from Dimco. It preceded that lock. By the way, this is called the Super Lock. It preceded the Shark lock in its creation, but Dimco got the Shark lock to production sooner. Like them both. They're both great, but I do prefer this one. But yeah, excellent knife. 20 CV steel, titanium handles, bronze hardware on this particular model, but there were multiple versions. But yeah, just an absolute striking knife. And man, Snex is so good, and that's why he's my favorite designer. He's so good at making designs that are just otherworldly, and you're not going to see him anywhere else. So, number 4, the WE Snex Vision R. Number 3, my first custom knife ever, guys. What a momentous occasion. It's a Lanny's clip. This is from PH Jacob Custom Knives, and he did an excellent job on this thing. Blade steel CPM 154. Handle materials are micarta, paper micarta with a scallop pattern on both sides. Love this shield. I'm not sure what you would call this shield. Maybe that's a federal shield. Let me know, guys. If you know your shields, please educate me.
Let's talk about shields, baby. Let's talk about... No, it's not working. It's not working.
But anyway, beautiful shield. I guess you would call this a shadow pattern because there's no bolsters. But I don't know. It's a very elegant, beautiful, just a gorgeous knife. And I love this texture. The micarta handles just feel so good in hand. I've always been a fan of Lanny's clips. Of course, coming back to Tony Bose, he created the Lanny's clip, and I feel like this version from Mr. Jacob absolutely captures the essence of what a Lanny's clip should be. Just a wonderful little companion knife that can get all kinds of little tasks done. You're not going to go, batoning with this thing, obviously, but man, it'll cut up your food happily. It'll cut rope. It'll cut packages. It'll do all that fun stuff. Pull on this is a nice, probably, I'd say like a 5 out of 10. Nice kind of balanced pull. Light, but it has authority to it. The back spring is flush in all positions, and walk and talk is just wonderful. I really like these G10/micarta designs. There's no washers in here. Instead, you have a platform that is milled out of the interior G10 liners, and so it just operates beautifully on that G10. So yeah, really awesome design from PH Jacob Custom Knives. Check him out. He does some really elegant Roman knot file work on most of his back springs. This is actually a very basic version of his knives, which is why I was able to get it, because I could actually afford it. Anyway, PH Jacobs, Lanny's clip, number 3. On to number 2. Oh gosh, this is tough. All right, guys, so number 2 and number 1 was a tough call. They were very close. So let me bring out number 2. This, I believe, was my knife of the year for 2021, the Kaiser Critical Mini. This is a design by CK Knife Works, and I believe that's Christensen, actually, excuse me, CK Knives, I believe it's Christensen Knife Works. Anyway, guy has amazing eye for design, and let me tell you, I freaking love this knife. We have micarta handle scales, a G10 pivot collar over here. G10 backspacer, and ooh, the blade. Let's talk about that blade. Now this blade's been modded, okay? This is my mod. This is my Abyss wash, which is a layered acid wash. But this is 3V. And Kaiser, my goodness, they have really stepped up their heat treating and just the way they handle steel, and as well as all of the steels they have on offer right now. They've had 10V, 3V, 154 CM. They've had all kinds of stuff. I really would check out. I think they had 4V too. So anyway, if you guys are like really, if you haven't like gotten into Kaiser yet, I don't know how you would have missed Kaiser, because they've just been slamming home runs since 2021. Honestly, they've really been on point. Anyway, I'm waxing poetic here. This knife is awesome. The Critical Mini. Go check them out. They have a stud version with a thumb stud. They have the flipper version, which of course I went with. And then really the only mod I did to this was the blade. Everything else is stock. I did acid wash the clip, as you can see here. But it really kind of gives it that more custom feeling. That's why I got into mods in the first place, was to make my production knives look as if they were custom. But yeah, I just really love this knife. I really love that real aggressive looking Wharncliffe blade with that sharp chop at the end of it. I also did a rock carved pattern on the spine, as you can see here. And it just almost looks like something you would dig up out of the ground or something. It just looks Jurassic, you know, for lack of a better word. What did I name this mod? This was the Fog Diver, that's right. That is a reference to something which I'm not going to get into, but if you get it, give me a shout. But yeah, that is number 2, basically tied, but this is number 2. But I still love this thing to death, the Kaiser Critical Mini. Okay guys, number 1. I don't really think I even need to say anything. I love this knife. This is a Cold Steel 8015 in S35VN. I've obviously modded the living hell out of this thing. If you were confused and you thought this was a Demco custom, I wouldn't blame you. That's what I was trying to accomplish here. I wanted this to look like a Demco custom knife, and I think I fairly well got to that point. So let's get into what I did to this. We have micarta scales from Scale Garden. He's actually doing a new run of micarta right now, so that's Scale Garden, S-C-A-L-E Garden. Go check him out. And he's got some new micarta options coming. And then we get onto the blade, of course, S35VN. I did another rock carve flat on this, which honestly, rock carving flats, it's especially when you're doing an acid wash as well, it is tough and it is time consuming. And after doing it with this knife as well as the hard edge mod here, I don't think I'm going to do it again for quite a while, because it is a serious task. I mean, you're talking like 3 hours of just work on the blade. And then when you're done, of course, you have to resharpen. So I mean, it's a job. But God, I mean, you can't argue with me here. Like, this looks stunning. I love this thing. I've carried the hell out of it this year since I did this mod. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know much about the 8015, you should check them out. Of course, now they have the light options, which are more affordable. I highly recommend them, though. It's just such an interesting design, and a reason why, of course, Andrew Demko is in my top 5 designers, is his ideas that he comes up with for locks. Just amazing stuff. The Scorpion lock is, I don't know if it's my favorite between it and the Triad. It's easier to handle, of course. You can really do some cool stuff with the Scorpion lock. You can obviously close the blade without any fingers being in the path, which is great, but you can also swing it shut by pinching that lock. I'm not doing it very well right now simply because my hand is horizontal. But yeah, it's tough to say whether I prefer this design or the 8010, but man, it's just a home run. A different note, I got this lanyard, it's called a Worry No More stone. I got this lanyard stone from Nux Nomada on Instagram. That is N-U-X-N-O-M-A-D-A on Instagram. He sells Worry No More stones. They're for basically if you're stressing out and you need to get your hand on something that you can just kind of like mess with and take your mind off of things. It has all these different surfaces on it, and the full-size ones are big enough that if you needed something as a, let's say, a deterrent, you could really do some damage with one of those things. But not that I would recommend doing that, but the full-size ones they're pretty awesome. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything. We've got the micarta scales, we've got the Worry No More stone, we've got the acid wash blade. No crazy finish, just a flat out acid wash, but we did rock carve and scallop the blade flats and the spine. We left those thumb studs just as they came, and I think it really pops on the dark acid wash. But yeah, guys, this is my number one. I love this thing to death, and I carry it quite a lot. But honestly, these two, they're so close in the amount of carry that they get. It's really hard to say. But anyway, guys, let me know y'all's top 5 carries this year. What really stayed in your pocket this year? Was it something that came out this year, or was it something that's been out for a while that just really has kind of stolen your heart, for lack of a better way of putting it? Let me know. And me and Walsh will be back next week for our how should I put this? Our favorite releases of 2022. I'm not sure the format we're going to do yet, but I can't wait to get into it, guys. So yeah, I'll see y'all next week. And until then, be well. See you guys later.